Good afternoon and welcome to the second video of my code quality series. So how can we tell code of good quality from the code of bad quality? Well, we need some attributes to uh, compare the code with. During my all time of development and all my software life, I have found out that there are several of these attributes, and today we are going to talk about the first of them. So, to get some perspective of all this, let's take a look at some history. Do you know what this is? Yeah, this is something what was called computer in 80s, maybe late 70s and early 80s. This was considered to be a computer. Here was a processor. It was one of the first Intel processors. It was 8080. 8 stood for number of bits probably. 80 maybe for decade or something like that. Nevertheless, you could get this kit in the shop. You could solder all these integrated circuits in. You could start it and you see this was a UI at that time. This was a display. And now you were supposed to program, to code, to put something in the computer to alive it a little bit. So at that time, it looked very similar to this. We were supposed to know this sort of code. It was a code really, it was not any language, but it was very cryptic and only a few of us understood what this means. Yeah, inner circle. Only initiated ones could understand this. Yeah, then we came to something what was much better and much higher, and this was called assembler language. If you look at it, it is MOVAC, that means move some data from register C to register A. Then add L, so add something to that. And so jump somewhere if there is an error, and so on and so on. So this was the way how the code was written at that time. Well, if you look at it, what we were doing at the time, we were trying to write a code for computer. So this was a computer. What does this guy understands? Okay, let's write something what he understands. So he understood 16 hexadecimal digits, maybe some enter, some reset, whatever. Here he started to understand, well, maybe some couple of letters. So we were trying to write some letters for the computer to understand. Very similar it was here. Yes, so we were always writing the code for the computer to understand. Well, the time has changed, and time has changed considerably. Nobody would these days understand this, I'd say. Therefore, first of all, what we have to do, we must ensure that the code is pleasant to read and easy to understand. Of course, computer, however it looks today, still has to understand that the code. The code what is understood by today's computer could be something like this. Oh well, this one. Do you like it? Yeah, it's beautiful. Curly brace that we somehow recognize what it is. This could be a name of variable, yeah, underscore and something. And it goes on and on and on. And believe me or not, this one, if you feed it to a computer, if you feed it to a browser, to JavaScript, it will understand. It's my multi-search plugin, by the way. I took this code, what is written normally here, copy and pasted that. We can try it. Yes, and I put it here to the JavaScript obfuscator tool. Yeah. Actually, it is already here because I copied it there. And you just obfuscate and you see the result. Well, nobody wants anybody to write a code like this. We are expecting that our code would look very much like you can see it right now in front of you, so that you can start somewhere. Yes, you can understand what is it about. All right, this is a function, it has a name, it is something about getting store filters. Yes, and you go through function, and at the end of it they say, oh yes, it returns values and it doesn't that and that, and it is useful for some purpose. So it is relatively easy to understand. Well, there are some another things. This is the code. What I actually exaggerated. I took something called what was not really optimally written, and I exaggerated how bad it could be. So if anyone of the watchers would know his own code, sorry, but it was worsened by me for this purpose. So if you look at this, well, I don't know how you, but I don't really know where the function ends and the new starts. Here is some curly brace. I don't know where it belongs. Oh yeah, it's here. Yeah, ID helps me. Well, but it should be then written a little bit nicer. Yeah, now I start to understand it a bit better. But still, the line is too long, and when I want to read it until the end of line, I have to scroll. So maybe I would prefer if it would be written somehow like this. Yeah. And even if this doesn't add too much to understandability of the code, definitely it is much more pleasant to read. So I can go there and I can even enjoy reading such a code. Sure, I think it is also easier to understand. Now, here we have routine that is written by me. I have to admit that is, well, it's nice. It has some header here. It just says what it does. But the logic itself is not that really easy. Well, yeah, it's something what is on the margin, I would say. Maybe I could split it into several lines, that it is easier to understand. Or I could keep it like this. Yeah, but anyway, in any case, this is a marginally good code, marginally good quality of code, just because it is not that easy to understand. Yeah, it works. It was tested in a big application, computer understands. Yeah, it does its job and it is reliable. It is there are no bugs in it. Still, it's not very easy to understand. All right. So then we have another demo. Oh yeah, this will come later. So what should we always keep in mind when writing in code? The general rule, it is a state of mind of a developer I would expect there will be always in, is this one. Write the code for another person. Yeah, I already said about writing for computer. Computer has to understand, otherwise that your code wouldn't work. But the code won't be good quality and won't last very long if it's not going to be written for another person. It doesn't matter if this another person is you and you take your own code after maybe half a year, after a year, or sometimes after decade or so. As I was talking about quality last time, I said that we very often connect quality with longevity. So how long can it last is somehow measure of quality. So let's look at this code. And if you look here, yeah, I am the author, and the copyright is 2002. That is, well, 17 years. And believe or not, this code is still runnable. It still works, and there are still clients that use it and that help them very much. So if you look at it, you probably wouldn't mind, you wouldn't say anything. Just for some explanation, this is not the JavaScript, this is PHP. We didn't have at that time the technologies what we have now. We just have a PHP generated page, and we were very grateful for that server generated page. So here, if you go through the code, you see that it's relatively easy to understand and relatively pleasant to read. And when I was faced with some requirement to debug something in this 17 years old code, I was pleasantly surprised that I just go through. I found quite fast the place where it was, and I fixed the bug, and that's it, and it worked again. Good. So if you remember nothing else from this video but this one rule, write the code for another person. I'll be glad. You will save a lot of troubles for yourself reading your own code after some years. You will save a lot of troubles for your fellow developers who will read your code and who will try to understand your code and who will try to maintain, debug, and implement new features in your code. You will save money for your investors. You will make your project managers happy, and well, this is the way how it should be. So don't hesitate to put any comments to this, and don't forget to go to learnfromsaki.com, where you can find these videos and much other good stuff what can serve you. The video about next attribute will come very soon. I hope I can do it this week, so stay tuned. Go on to learnfromsaki.com, and don't forget to comment and share this video. Click these 3 dots up there in Facebook. Comment, share, and enjoy. Thank you very much.